It looks like we might be ready to go. Look at that. Hi, everybody. How fantastic. I got to say, I now want to start every Zoom meeting with some fantastic music, particularly from a local artist. So what a great idea. Thanks, Lynnette. Hi, everybody. My name is Barbara Smith Warner, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as the majority leader for the Oregon House Democratic Caucus, the caucus to which, between all of you and many other folks in House District 24 throughout Yamhill County and beyond, we will help bring Lynnette in as a member in November. So thank you all for joining today for the kickoff. We've got a great program planned for you today. I'm happy to be here at the beginning to introduce Lynnette as my one of my favorite potential new members. As majority leader, I do a lot of, I'm in charge of the campaign structure, and one of the things I get to do is recruiting. And I had a series of fantastic conversations with both Lynnette and her wife Amy over the course of Lynnette deciding that she wanted to be the change that she wanted to see. So it has been really exciting to watch that and to watch her campaign develop and her kind of step up and join the wacky world of politics that Amy has already been is used to being engaged in. With that, I think almost everybody on here, hopefully all of you probably you all know many different and more things than I do, but you know, her wife Amy serves on the Carlton City Council, sorry about that. And Lynnette has started 3 small businesses in the Willamette Valley and is currently the owner of Bit by a Fox Speakeasy. So we all know that in the pandemic that we are experiencing, nobody knows better than Lynnette how small businesses not only are the backbone of our community, but are being impacted by this, and the needs that she will bring that perspective into the legislature. We need help figuring out how to best help Oregonians, and the voice of the small business owner is one that is really important for us to hear. So, and the work that she's done in mentoring other entrepreneurs, serving as president of the Carlton Business Association, it's really going to be critical. That is going to be such great input for us to have. So she also, you may not know, her public service and working family background. She comes from a family with 3 generations of firefighters, and so knows how important it is for working families to be able to access healthcare, education, stable jobs, and interestingly has a bit of a background in public health. We hear a lot. We had 2 doctors come out of our primaries that will be serving in the legislature next year, and Lynnette will bring a public health lens as well as somebody who studied public health in college. So with that, I don't want to take up too much more time before I say welcome all of you, and welcome Lynnette, and thanks for having all on your stuff today. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Majority Leader. And as Amy just said, I think our house is a bit of a kitty council sometimes. So that's not that unusual. Thank you, everyone, for coming. For those of you who I know, thank you for being here. For those of you who I don't know, welcome. I hope to get to know you during the course of this meeting. I'm going to start this by doing a cocktail demo, but because I'm a bartender. And as I say in the meeting, we all know that bartenders can make it to the House of Representatives, right? So yeah, that's right. And but I couldn't be in 2 rooms at once. So we recorded the bartending segment about an hour ago. So Amy's going to play that for you right now. Are you ready to make a drink? First, we're going to start with Manhattan. Super simple. We're going to use 2 ounces of rye whiskey. You can use bourbon as well, but I like rye. And we're going to use 1 ounce of a Torino style vermouth. This is a sweet Italian vermouth. And then we're going to use 2 dashes of an aromatic, this case an Angostura bitters. and 1 dash of orange bitters, just to give it a little bit more orangey flavor. And then I'm also going to make a gin and tonic. So I'm going to fill a good sized glass up with ice. This is a drink that you want on a really nice and warm day. I'm going to squeeze the lime into it first so that when I add spirit and tonic, it mixes it all up. I'm going to drop the lime in there. Now I'm going to add 2 ounces of gin. This is a great local gin, Ransom. Their dry gin is fantastic. And then I'm going to add 2 to 3 ounces, or excuse me, 3 to 4 ounces of tonic. So this is a fizzy drink that you can make with any spirit and pretty much anything fizzy. You can do the same thing with for a whiskey ginger, except for replace the gin with whiskey and then the tonic with a ginger beer. So we're going to fill this up with about 4 ounces here. As you can see, it's very precise. All that matters is that it's refreshing. Stirring our Manhattan at the same time, and we're going to put this into a pre-garnished cocktail glass. These are the easiest drinks in the world to make. Anybody can do it. And everybody knows that a bartender can get into the House of Representatives, right? Now we're going to strain that into our cocktail glass. And there we go. We've got two great refreshing cocktails, a gin and tonic, and a Manhattan. Enjoy. All right. Well, that's the cocktail demo, and I want to now introduce our MC for the rest of the program here. A lot of folks know him. He's very prominent in the community. He's everywhere. I don't know how he does it, but he seems to be everywhere at once. It's our county commissioner, Casey Kulla. And Casey is a voice for Yamhill County citizens. He's a great guy, and he's full of energy, as you'll find out. Casey, you ready?
I am ready. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay, thank you, Mauro. I do have a lot of energy, but let's see if it gets translated into this meeting. And again, I'm honored to be your MC, I think, today, and I'm honored to go after the House Majority Leader. So thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to follow us through and do some introductions to people who are going to be telling you a lot of really interesting things about Lynnette Shaw and the community that we live in. And first, I want to start off with Nadine Basile. She has over 20 years of experience in the wine industry. She previously has run a vegetable CSA in Dundee. Woohoo! For those of you who know, awesome. And she's currently the ranch and vineyard manager at Soter Vineyards, while also being a dedicated farmer and a flock and herd tender at Mineral Springs Ranch. She's a fondness for compost, chickens, woolly animals, big dogs, beautiful vegetables, yarn, and good coffee. So without further ado, Nadine Basile.
My name is Nadine Basile, and I'm the ranch and vineyard manager at Soter Vineyards and Mineral Springs Ranch in Carlton, Oregon. Our business here is a small family-owned winery and vineyard, and we also have a vegetable farm and fruit orchard, and we also raise grain, and we cut pastures, and we raise livestock. We do a little of everything here. It's a very diverse, organic and biodynamic certified farm. I think Lynnette would be an excellent candidate and an excellent addition to our community in terms of being able to represent small farmers like us who are interested in organic and sustainable farming, small businesses like ours that are interested in surviving anything that the world is throwing at us right now, in particular how we're going to crawl our way out of this COVID crisis that we're in right now. The service industry, such as ours, is very much struggling because of it. Our tasting room had to close for a number of months, and we had to lay off a number of our employees, and now fortunately we have some of them back as tasting rooms are beginning to open. But economic recovery is really important to us as a small business. Climate change is affecting us as farmers. We know it's coming, and we need people that are creative about crafting legislation that accepts that climate change is real and is happening to us, and it's a challenge that we have to face. And I really believe that Lynnette can help us in this regard. Climate change, of course, is really important to us because we are so held by the weather. Anything that the weather is going to throw at us is what we have to deal with in terms of farming and creating, growing a crop and creating a product. And so there's a lot of risk in farming, and we need politicians that can help us manage that risk. Particularly in the farming community, we rely heavily on laborers that come from elsewhere, and we want to make sure that we have people in place in politics that value diversity, that value different people coming from different countries coming to work in our beautiful county, and that we're not treating them like second-class citizens. And I think Lynnette is really, she's a strong voice and has a lot of opinions about equality and diversity. And that's why I really value Lynnette as not only as a person in politics, but also as a close personal friend.
All right, thank you very much, Nadine. And hopefully you got a sense of both Nadine's situation, but also you can get a sense now of kind of what Lynnette stands for and what she will bring to the legislature. Next, we're gonna go, and thank you, Nadine. Next, we're gonna go to Sean Martin and Mary Cressler. They're the owners of Ember and Vine, which is a marriage of their two loves, smoked food and wine. And Sean is the pitmaster with wood-fired food, experimenting with flavors and wood-fired cuisine for over 10 years. And he has won regional and national awards. Mary is a sommelier with a focus on wine, beer, and spirit pairing with the wood-fired cuisine. And they're cookbook authors, wine and food authors, publishers of the blog Vindulge. They cook at events around the state and are regulars on the cooking segments for KTU's AM Northwest. And as Lynnette says, they're kind of a big deal. All right, without further ado.
Oh, thank you. That is too generous, Lynnette, for the record.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, I'm Mary. This is Sean, and we, like Casey said, we run the catering company Ember and Vine. We also run the blog Vindulge, and we live here in far South Hillsborough on a 5-acre hazelnut farm. And we've known Lynnette for over 10 years. When I was just getting started in the wine industry here as a wine blogger, she was instrumental in getting bloggers from all across the country to Carlton and to tour the Yamhill Carlton AVA. And even before there was a conference here, she brought a bunch of groups of bloggers out. She did it again a few years later when we had a conference in Portland. So she has been a huge forever, as long as I've known her, a huge supporter of small businesses, the wine industry, and of, you know, also big supporter of small businesses here. And when we started up our small business, she was always a huge source of support. And I think Sean would like to speak a little more to that.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to her collaborative nature, which I think is so important when legislating. When we first started out, she encouraged us to come participate in Carlton's Business Association event, Portlandia. And not only did she encourage us to come, she opened her door, literally and figuratively, to cook in their commissary kitchen, collaborate with their brand at the time and put some fun food out for the community. And it really meant a lot to us because we had just gotten started in terms of catering and the challenges of running a small business, and just having that communal aspect and having her just reach out unconditionally to be able to help us succeed, I think was really important, and really speaks to, I think, how we've just appreciated our relationship with Lynnette over the years. And that's just one of many examples of how she has interacted with us. And it's also important for us to pay that forward as we continue to grow and have influence within the small business segment, both here and nationally. And it's a real inspiration for us just to see how much she collaborates, how much she listens. And I think it's really important right now, especially, to be able to listen. And so we just encourage everyone to not only be engaged, leverage the Facebook page, share the information on social media, but just be able to amplify that voice and just talk about it. And if you don't know her, you will, and you'll experience that same thing that we do. The passion, the collaboration, and we are really excited to see Lynnette become the big deal that she already is. That's right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Lynnette, how do you feel about this? You're a big deal too, I guess.
I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm hoping to get there. I love those guys. They're absolutely great, and they're really great friends, and you know, they've been great to work with over the years. But that collaboration is super important to me.
And I apologize if my the windy day behind me is making anything hard to hear. Okay, great. All right. Collaboration Nation is one of the comments. And I gotta say that I think it's great that we live in a county where the county commissioner knows how to pronounce sommelier. I just wanna point that out, you know, just a little self-indulgent. But all right, thank you very much, Sean and Mary. And then we're gonna move on now to hear what Patrick Maguire has to say. He's the current chair of the Washington County Democrats. He's on the Hillsborough School District Curriculum Advisory Board, and he's a dedicated community activist. So with that, Patrick Maguire.
Hello, I'm Patrick Maguire, the chair of the Washington County Democrats, and it's great to be with you in support of Lynnette Shaw. Through the hard work of a lot of folks over the past several years, we've managed to turn 11 out of the 12 state house seats representing a portion of Washington County Democratic. We've managed to turn them blue. The one that's still represented by a Republican is the one that Lynnette Shaw is running for in 2020 as our Democratic nominee. And we need to win that seat if we're going to see our values fully represented at the State House in Salem. So let's all get behind Lynnette in her quest and support her with time, energy, resources, whatever we have to make sure it's 12 out of 12 in 2020.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick. And I believe that in the chat feature, there will be a link to how to donate to Lynnette's campaign. Next, I am just so honored to get to introduce a mutual friend, which is Val Blaha. She's a singer-songwriter and a multi-instrumentalist. Her heart drives in the melody-driven Americana and folk music, as some of you have already heard today. Val's lyrics are the heart of her music, and her vocal style is a unique blend of sweetness, sass, and a touch of blues. Val has released several solo albums, including Find the Beauty, Water, Ashes and Wood, and Fact or Fiction. And her songs have been played on independent folk radio stations in the US and abroad. And her latest solo album, World on Fire, was released April 30th of 2019. So
hi everyone, my name is Val, and I'm so honored to be here today for the launch party of Lynnette Shaw for House District 24. I have been friends with Lynnette for several years, and she is a wonderful person, and I'm sure she's going to be an amazing representative for us in the House. And I want to encourage everyone to vote for her. I'm going to sing a couple songs today, and this first one is a song I wrote. It's called Hell No. And I think it fits. I won't smile and be polite. I will jump and dance. I won't wear a skirt if I'd rather wear a suit with pants. I won't polish my nails, I'd rather strum my guitar. And I won't stumble in high heels, my boots take me far. I know I can't be everything to everyone, it's not why I exist. I choose to stand my own ground, I choose to resist. I will take the high road, rather take the low. I'm not gonna be meek and quiet, I'll yell, hell no. Don't say women should be silent, don't say we are weak. Don't say we're crazy when we bleed, don't tell us to shut up and sing. Don't say we need to be thin and pretty, or we are worthless. And don't say we can't be president, cause I'm pretty sure we do it best. We know we can't be everything to everyone, that's not what we need. We choose to stand our own ground, we will not concede. We will take the high road, when others take the low. We're not gonna be meek and quiet, we'll yell, hell no. I don't wanna be a princess, existing in some prison of rules. I wanna be the king of my world, speaking my power with truth. I want to live my life, it's the only one that I've got. And I need to be true to myself, rather than to what I'm not. I'll give my best to people who place their trust in me. And I won't be a slave to some fiction, I'm gonna live free. And I know I can't be everything to everyone, it's not why I exist. I choose to stand my own ground, I choose to resist. I will take the high road, when others take the low. And I'm not gonna be meek and quiet, I'll yell, hell no. Let's yell, hell no. And let's give a resounding hell yes to Lynnette Shaw for this November's election.
Generations as well. My name is Gustavo Guerrero, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Yamhill County Democrats. Now, I am proud to support Lynnette Shaw's campaign for House District 24. Her passion for addressing the issues that impact every member of our society, whether it be healthcare reform, education, or environmental issues, shows a profound compassion for not just current generation, but for future generations as well. And I am confident that she will be a strong advocate for every member of our community and will be a much needed change for House District 24. Me llamo Gustavo Guerrero y soy el vicepresidente de los demócratas del condado de Yamhill. Y yo estoy muy orgulloso de declarar mi apoyo por la campaña de Lynnette Shaw para la Casa de Representantes, el Distrito 24. Su pasiones por abordar los problemas que impactan a cada miembro de nuestras comunidades, que sea la educación, el medio ambiente o la salud, demuestra una compasión profunda, no nomás para nuestra generación, para las generaciones del futuro también. Y estoy muy seguro que Lynnette será una voz poderosa para cada miembro de nuestras comunidades y será un cambio muy necesario para la Casa de Representantes del Distrito 24.
Great, thank you very much, Gustavo. Gustavo is a non-traditional student peer advisor at Western Oregon University. He also just graduated. He's the vice chair of the Yamhill County Democrats, and he's passionate about advocacy for the Latinx community. And I would say that he actually is passionate about everything. So if we're talking about enthusiasm and energy, he's the man. I was just at one of his, go Wolves. I was just at an event that he organized called Representa Yamhill, where he got together elected officials who are Latinx to talk to Latinx community about what it's like to run for office and be in office and the challenges and the beauty of it. So way to go, Gustavo. Next, I'd like to introduce to you Megan Corvus. And it's funny that I'm looking at a sheet that explains who Megan is, because Megan is Megan. She's the recording secretary for the Yamhill County Democrats, which understates her role dramatically. She's the board secretary for Peace Valley Schools. She lives on a farm in Gaston with her family. She's a dedicated local community activist and a community member. She's a graduate of Minville High School and the U of O, and is deeply invested in making change. She's the main contributor to Progressive Yamhill, which works to create a community that both respects and creates equity, inclusion, safety, and freedom from fear and hate for all, which incidentally is what I try to do too, and I hope what Lynnette Shaw intends to do, because that's what she's been doing her life. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Megan Corvus. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here and to get to support Lynnette. So I actually met Lynnette in the aftermath of the 2016 election. We were in the same park in Beaverton for some reason, trying to figure out what to do after the election. And we really just connected over our desire to take action locally rather than focus on national issues. And so together with some other neighbors, we joined and created what's now Progressive Yamhill, which is as Casey described, it's a Facebook group, just an informal organization, but we try really hard to just educate and advocate for progressive issues. And I think we're all really proud that it's grown to nearly 1,000 members. We're so close in the last 4 years. I grew up here. I was born here in Yamhill County, but I've learned so much about politics in Yamhill County by jumping in and paying more attention in the last 4 years. And in particular, what I've learned is just how much our elected officials benefit from a lack of voter education and voter apathy, which can help them keep from being held accountable for the decisions that they make when they are in Salem. Yamhill County residents, we often hear that we don't want to be Portland. We want to protect our heritage here, our agricultural heritage. But I think we don't talk enough about what we want to do to change things in the future. And it's just not enough to try to keep things to be the same or to define what we don't want to be. We need to look ahead and have leaders who can be brave enough to look ahead and find ways to describe what the future could look like if we chose to go there. I recently looked back at the very beginnings of the Progressive Yamhill Facebook group and saw that it was in fact Lynnette who took the very first action to create it, and she invited all of the rest of us to join her there. And I just thought that's such a perfect example for why Lynnette would be just an amazing representative for us in Salem. You know, she saw what needed to happen and she just went and did it. And then she invited the rest of us to join her for the ride. So Lynnette, I can't wait to vote for you. I'm so excited that you're running, and I'm really glad to support you.
Thank you very much, Megan. Oh, there's some clapping people. So let's do a clapping. I know that this is for Lynnette, but really there's a lot of people on this call who also know how much advocacy and engagement Megan does for this community. So I just want to acknowledge that when I have a question and I don't know who to go to with it, or I need somebody to do something, I usually text Megan. And I need to get in the habit of texting other people that are on this phone call. So BSW, if you want to give me your cell phone number, I got it. I'm a thumbs. All right. Yeah, that's right. Recently, well, this week I got the ODOT director's phone number too. So yeah, BSW, yeah, right? Gonna go for a bike ride on the Yamhill someday. Okay, let's move on. I wanna note that if you have questions for Lynnette, you can send them to her via the chat feature, and she'll address some of them later. And I can address some of them too if we need to along the way. And if you want to help Lynnette, you can sign up to volunteer by putting your phone number into the, or for your contact information into the chat feature, or you can comment on her Facebook page. We need 15 volunteers for a phone banking event on Saturday, July 11th. And you can be anywhere to do that. It's pretty amazing. You just go like this, or however you phone these days, you know. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to phone. All right, we are gonna move on to Ken Morrison and Mauro Hernandez. Ken and Mauro have been the owners of K&M Alchemy Vineyards since 2006, where they are assisted by their 5 miniature sheep. They have a tasting room in downtown Carlton for their label, and are assisted there by their dog, Ollie. So welcome.
Hi, my name is Mauro Hernandez, and I'm here with Ken Morrison, my husband. We run K&M Wines here in Carlton, Oregon. We were so happy to hear that Lynnette's running for office here, and a couple of reasons. I mean, we've known her a long time as our business neighbor and friend, and for one thing, I mean, having both come from smaller cities and chosen to move to Oregon, smaller rural Oregon, we have that shared understanding of the unique challenges of this community.
I know I met Lynnette when I moved to Carlton to open my business in the fall of 2011, and she was just always welcoming, a very strong presence in the community, the business community, full of great ideas, implements them, rallies people around her ideas, and I think a lot of the success of Carlton, downtown Carlton, is partly reflective of Lynnette, because she drives things, gets things done, brings people together, and I think having that kind of person in the state legislature would be great for rural Oregon.
And on the practical side, I think the other reason we're excited to hear about her running for office and is knowing that her policy priorities are aligned with mine, with ours. I think now more than ever, I think we're realizing that we need a strong government. We need our roads maintained. We need everyone to have access to good education, good health care. Affordable housing is something we really need, especially in rural Oregon. The other thing we also realize is that we need a balanced and fair tax system, because during hard times like this, we can't afford to be trimming and fraying the safety net that we need so that people aren't waiting all day to get someone to answer the phone when they're calling for their unemployment benefits and having their Medicaid benefits potentially cut. I think we're also realizing that our public health system really needs to work, and people need to be able to have access to testing during this time to make sure that they're not sick and getting other people sick. It's really important. And then finally, as a business owner myself who understands the value of having good regulation to protect people and ensure safety and accountability of our business, we also need regulations to be flexible and allow small businesses to grow and thrive rather than be stuck and not able to innovate. As another small business owner and entrepreneur, it's great to know that someone is here who understands our needs, not just as small business owners, but also part of rural Oregon, which I know, having lived here long enough, often feels that Salem doesn't understand and is as responsive as we'd like them to be. I also know that she's strong, persistent, and an advocate and a creative leader, which is something we need in office. And just as importantly, she's whip smart, funny, and accessible, which we also need in our leaders.
Well, thank you, Ken and Mauro. I totally agree. She's smart, whip smart, funny, strong. I think there were some of them. And those are things that, you know, when I think of Lynnette, that's what I think of. But I'm just so grateful. I feel like this time that we're living in is so needs an entrepreneur. As we look forward, eventually we will be past the pandemic, and we need to be prepared for that time. And I really feel like, you know, Ken and Mauro spoke well to that Lynnette knows what it takes to have a community of entrepreneurs, not just individuals on their own. So, word. All right, I'm gonna move on to Representative Courtney Neron. Representative Neron serves in the Oregon Legislature, representing District 23, which includes portions of Clackamas and Washington County, which is really close by, as it turns out. She was first elected in 2018 and is currently running as an incumbent for that seat. She was born in Tigard. She attended University of Oregon and has a master's in teaching from Pacific University. She previously taught French and Spanish, or Spanish, excuse me, at Tualatin and Tigard high schools. She's married to Joe and has 2 children. And welcome, Representative Neron. Or she's not here yet, and so we'll do questions and answers. Let's do questions and answers. Do you have a question really quickly for Lynnette Shaw? Okay, well, I have one then for you. Lynnette, what do you love most about living in Yamhill County? 2 things. How about 2 things? The 2 most awesome things.
I love the people, which as you can see, you can tell by this program, there's some pretty awesome people here. And I love the place and everything that the place brings. It's all the agriculture, the small businesses, just the community is a pretty spectacular place to be.
Nice, thank you. You know, when I do meetings that are somewhat contentious, or I know they're gonna be contentious, I ask everybody, tell me what you love about Yamhill County. And they always say, and it's amazing, everybody loves the same things, even though they're diametrically opposed in their political persuasion. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
We
Hey,
do
I
have
have a
common
question,
ground.
Casey.
Go for it.
Okay, so Lynnette, as a new and first-time candidate, what has been your biggest surprise so far, or about running for office?
You know, you told me how much work this was going to be, but it's hard to picture that. But I will say, and Amy and I say this constantly, we've been through harder situations for longer. So campaigning has been challenging, and campaigning during a pandemic has been extraordinarily challenging for a lot of reasons. But you know, I don't think you can ever really prepare somebody for the amount of work that this is. But I will say also that it tends to be really joyful work, because I am talking to people that I wouldn't ordinarily talk to. And I'm sensing a great deal of hope out there in the world. So I'm really happy to report that.
Thank you, and thank you. There's a question from Paige Hook, who has a question, or she has raised her hand. So, Paige.
Hey, congratulations, by the way, Lynnette, on your primary. I'm Paige Hook, and I'm running for House District 17, also in rural Oregon. So I'm super excited to work with you in the legislature. But my question is, out of all the ideas that you have for bills that you want to present, what's like the first thing that you want to work on when you do win in November?
That's a really great question. And Paige, I'm sure that you'll agree with me on this one. It would be great to look at campaign finance reform. Because this is a lot of what we have to do as candidates is to raise money, because it's an expensive prospect, because we live in a state where there are no limits to what people can donate. So usually our Republican incumbents are very well funded by corporate PACs and sometimes out of state money, and it's difficult to run against that. So I'd be okay with changing that in the legislature, because I think it would open the legislature to more people and it get better representation of the people.
I can't wait to work with you on that. My opponent had one person donate $50,000, and they're from one of the highest polluters in Oregon. So super excited to support you, and let me know how we can work together. We've got a few campaigns of rural Oregonians that we're all working together. So we'd love to have you join in and collaborate with us.
I love it. I'll totally do that.
All right, and we've got a question from Ken Moore. Ken Moore, what would you like to ask Lynnette Shaw?
Lynnette, I'm so excited for you. This is just really incredible to see you doing this. What a great person for this time. I just would be so delighted to have you as our representative. I got a good question for you. How are you doing? How are you at raising money? How's that going for you? Or do you find you can get on the phone and make it happen? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. It is a challenge though during COVID, because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. So sometimes that prevents people from being real free with the donations. But it is going good, and I think being on the phones with people is, since I can't be on the doors right now, so being on the phones with people is really one of my favorite parts about what I'm doing. And I've met people from just calling them, people from Portland to Ashland and every place in between. And that's where that sense of hope that I was talking to Representative Smith Warner about was really coming from, is talking to these people from across the state. So it's a challenge. I won't lie about that. It's definitely a challenge, but it's doable. We can get there, and we don't need big corporations to do it. It's good to see you here, Ken. I am so appreciative of you being here. You really have paved the way for people like me.
Great to be here.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. You can keep the questions coming in the chat feature, and I'll slide them in as best we can as we go along. I wanted to remind you that the date for calling people is Saturday, July 11th. Got it on a piece of paper here. And you can sign up for that on the Facebook page, on Lynnette Shaw's Facebook page. So, Paige Barton, I see you. All right, we are going to move on to actually an animal friend of ours now. And if Representative Neron joins us, which we've all been texting her to make sure she knows, then we'll get her on as well. But Caesar the No Drama Llama strives to bring smiles to the faces of all his two-legged friends. I've even met him as well. I'm super proud of that. As a hashtag llama activist, it's his mission to promote and protect civil rights through the support of progressive candidates and causes. As a charity and therapy llama, Caesar and his team hope to make the world a better place, one llama hug at a time.
Hey guys, is Cesar and I on?
Yes, you are, Larry.
Okay,
and Caesar. We can
awesome.
hear you.
Hey guys, my name is Larry McCool, and this is Cesar the No Drama Llama. And some of you might have heard of him. He's had a little bit of a buzz over the last couple of days. He's kind of been on a lot of media attention. But one thing that attracted Cesar to Lynnette was they both have this spiked hair. So they both go to the same hairdresser. So all they got to do is just wash, spike, and go. So that's one thing they both have in very much in common. But Cesar the No Drama Llama wants to really know that as a rural resident, we really support Lynnette in the fact that we think she's going to share a lot of the values that we have in the rural community with us. And a lot of the things that's important to any of us is the fact that healthcare in the rural community is just really hurting right now. Make sure that Lynnette knows that we're going to support her, Lynnette, when they get to Congress. But another thing is wages. We've got to get wages up for the rural community, especially the agriculture community. I live right in the middle of the Llama Valley, and I'm right surrounded by, the fruits and vegetables, and the community that's really being hurt right now, and is a lot because of the agriculture community. But one thing we also want you to know is how important the environment is for us out here in the community. So one thing I don't think a lot of people realize is farmers and the ones. Did you know that the Douglas fir, they figure within 75 years is going to be migrated out of Oregon and the Northwest? So we don't get control over the climate here in Oregon and anywhere else. We're not going to have this valuable crop that we have here in Oregon. So it's going to migrate about 200 to 300 miles north of here. So when we talk about cap and trade, so important cap and trade, we are trading today's jobs for future jobs. Yeah, you might have the jobs today, but if we don't get control over the environment, these jobs are going to go because our natural environment is going to go. So today, SeSay, the No Drama Llama, is officially endorsing Lynnette Shaw for House District 24. And we want you to know that we're going to be 100% behind you, Lynnette, and everything you do. I wish, even though I don't live in House District 24, I wish you would move one district over to House District 23. You all know probably who my representative is. So we want to just thank you, Lynnette, for stepping up and doing what you are. And anyway, so thank you very much from SeSay, the No Drama Llama, and I. And we will see.
All right, thank you very much, Larry. It's good to have all of our animal friends with us here today. I had no idea there'd be so many animals. I also wanted to, I apologize. Oh, there's Larry again.
Did you lose us?
We did, but you're back.
Oh no, did you not hear any of us?
Oh, we heard you sign off even, so thank you, Larry.
Oh,
and
yeah,
thank you,
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's so important for us to be here for Lynnette today. Thanks very much for having us.
Thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to congratulate House Majority Leader for being done with a very quick special session #1. So I expect that we will see another one, but thank you for all of your work there. Yes. All right, what I'd like to do now is move on to Brittany Leffler. She's the Vice Chair of the Young Democrats of Oregon, lives in Portland, and is studying urban affairs and planning at Portland State University. She's a passionate advocate for young Democrats and for progressive Oregonians, and is a fierce warrior for renewable energy, and is inspired by Eleanor Roosevelt. So with that, I welcome Brittany.
Hey everyone, it's Brittany, Vice Chair of the Young Democrats of Oregon. We were so excited to be able to endorse Lynnette in the May primaries, but today I'm here to personally lend my support for Lynnette during her official campaign launch party. We know that Lynnette is the exact voice at the exact time that we need for Salem during these unprecedented times. As a small business owner, we know that she will be committed to everyone, not just the special corporate interests. We know that she'll be committed to small businesses, committed to climate change, committed to education, committed to the housing problem. She is a problem solver, and she is exactly what young people need across the state. And I'm so excited to lend my endorsement to Lynnette, and I'm so excited for her campaign launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany and the Young Democrats. In fact, I have a friend who's running for Arnie Roblin's seat that he's retiring from, Melissa Cribbins, Coos County Commissioner, and she's also a big support. She's supported by Young Democrats, so super excited to see both of you. Let's right now go to another song from Val Blaha.
Hi, this is Val Blaha, and I'm back to sing another song. Thanks, Lynnette, for having me here today to support your launch party. I'm really excited and happy that you're running for House District 24. I have lived in Oregon since 1993, apart from a couple of years that I spent in Washington State. I'm a small business owner, just like Lynnette, and I think it's really important that we elect people like Lynnette who are smart and honest and understand what it takes to be a small business owner and how hard that is. And I know she will fight for all of us in the House. So I'm going to play one more song. This is a song off my last album. This is called Wash Over Me, and I wrote it after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida several years back. And it's a song of hope. Thrown against the rocks again on a tide of fear and pain. Impossible to comprehend one man's hate-filled hurricane. I close my eyes to hide the sea of smiling faces lost. Lives now torn, loved ones bereaved, one night of Holocaust. Let the hope wash over me, even when I cannot see, beyond the grief that blinds and bleeds. Let the hope wash over me. Pointed fingers, mistrust and blame, shadows poised to overrun as we hoist sails of fear and shame. Words as pointed as that gun. Let the hope wash over you after the pain invades anew, and there's nothing you can do. Let the hope wash over you. The smog of hate, the acid rain of terror and nihilism cannot last in the face of joy and optimism. Hold my hand as we cry and rage against the night. Tears will dry but magnify dawn's early and needed light. Let the hope wash over us. Let go of the doubt and trust our hearts, strong and generous. Let the hope wash over us. Let the hope wash over me. Give me strength so I can see and courage to stand up and lead. Let the hope wash over me. Let the hope wash over me. Give me strength so I can see and courage to stand up and lead. Let the hope wash over me. Thanks, everybody. Vote for Lynnette. Vote.
Thank you very much, Val, once again. Let the hope wash over me. Let's all hope and wash over us, right? All right. I would like to introduce to you now Shali. Growing up in Yamhill County and adopted into a white family, Shali, SeSay, McDonough didn't celebrate Juneteenth. She learned about the holiday only when she began researching Black history on her own as an adult. And she's become a local community activist fighting against systemic racism. This year, though, she co-organized Newberg's first Juneteenth celebration. Woohoo, Newberg! Where over 150 community members gathered to learn and to celebrate. And there were a couple of great articles about her as well. So with that, let me welcome Shali, SeSay, McDonough.
Hi, I'm Shali. I grew up in Yamhill County, and I could share every negative experience I had due to my skin color, especially with law enforcement, but I really feel like there is a better understanding now these days of what people of color in this area go through. And I've seen enormous change, especially in this last few years, which I'm so beyond grateful for, which is why I wanted to come on here and say I support Lynnette Shaw, because she is willing to sit down and listen to the issues within this community that don't personally affect her, and she perceives them and is receptive of them, and then she tries to find a better path and push for a better path that is better fit to all of the community and not just one type of the community. And I so appreciate that. So Lynnette Shaw, District 24, you guys, I truly believe she has the best interest of everyone in Yamhill County. So thank you. I don't know how to sign off, I'm sorry.
You did great. I didn't even know where you were on the screen, so thank you.
Okay, awesome. I'm like, as long as you can hear me, we good.
We're all good. Thank you.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
It was so inspiring seeing all the work you did, by the way.
Oh, you guys, I'm hoping to do more. I really want to build a Black community in this area, and I think Lynnette will be a good help to that, good advocate, you guys.
Definitely.
100%,
Thank you.
Shali.
All right. Now we get to come to the time. We've made it to when Lynnette gets to tell you about herself, why she's here. I mean, a lot of you know about her, but we want to know from her, what are the things she really wants to work on? What are the issues that she sees in this House district, and how she's going to work with everybody else showing up every day to do this work. I've known Lynnette as part of our community, and it's really as part of the food and wine community is how I know her. I'm just amazed by how many people, food producers, wine producers, beverage producers, growers, farmers, food people are on this call. And I really think that speaks to Yamhill County and what Yamhill County is all about. And so I'm so glad that we have come to the time when we get to hear from you directly. And you do have nice hair. As somebody who, you know, I try to have people not notice mine, I notice yours. So, but I also want to note that there is a little baby boy on this launch party too. Where's Arrow Larkin? Is he around? No, he's not around, but he also has some really good hair. So keep an eye out on the call for Allison Larkin and her boy with the best hair on the call. So with that, Lynnette Shaw, welcome.
Thank you everybody. And I cannot thank you all for being enough just for being here today. I didn't realize we were gonna have so much talk about hair, but hey, why not, you know? My name is Lynnette Shaw, and I'm running for Oregon State Representative in House District 24. If you know me, you know that it's pretty unlikely that I would be standing or sitting, as it were, in front of you all today as a candidate for state office. I thought my wife was the politician in the family, but circumstances change, and the Republican walkout in the last regular session lifted me out of thinking that running for office was somebody else's job. Watching that assault on Oregon's democracy and wondering who would step up to put a stop to the incursion of the toxic national politics into our state, I decided that that someone was me. My beginnings are essentially working class. Both of my parents were the first generation off of the ranch and out of poverty in rural California. They relied on public service jobs to build a life for themselves. And as was mentioned by a little bit earlier, there are 3 generations of my family in the fire service, one of whom I think is on this call, my brother. But those deep public service roots in my family taught me everything that I know about sacrifice and commitment and being of service to my community. It taught me that nothing is ever going to get handed to me, including my education, which I undertook as a single parent and a very serious and committed first generation college student when I was in my 30s. I didn't take the easiest path as a means to an end with my education, but I studied rigorous disciplines like science and public health, and it gave me the theory to back up my real world understanding of the perils of absent or insufficient healthcare insurance and in gaps to access to critical clinical care. As a returning student who was kind of behind from the start, I understood the importance of equity in education and how we can help kids by supporting early childhood education where equitable achievement, it really begins. Through my studies in the sciences, I gained an understanding of human and natural ecosystems, and that has greatly informed my belief that taking action on climate is no longer a choice, but it's a moral obligation. So I'm really proud of my working class beginnings, and I'm proud of the values that I learned along the way. I'm not a career politician who pulls levers of political power in Salem, but I'm a small business owner, and I don't get to make promises and deliver nothing. I'm not afforded the luxury to put my feelings over doing the work, and I have to show up even when things are difficult. So hopefully with our program today, we've convinced you that this race is important, that it's winnable with your help. We've always been a very typical rural district, but Democrats haven't held this seat for nearly 20 years, or maybe over 20 years, actually. We've been knocking on the door here with great candidates like Ken, who've definitely beaten down a path. And now we've seen some demographic shifts that are leading us to collectively embrace more progressive values. Because of those shifts, our district is one of the few House seats that are truly competitive against a Republican incumbent. And as the candidate, I feel like I'm the right fit for the district at the right time. My working class roots and my public service upbringing mean that I'm really a relatable peer for people who live and work here. And as a small business owner, I've got connections and years of experience working with local wineries. I've secured lots of key local endorsements. My wife is a sitting city councilor, and we're both very well known and backed in the community. We've also got an army of local progressive Democrats who have my back, as Megan spoke about so eloquently earlier. They know me as a thoughtful fighter who will protect working class families and small businesses as we begin the process of recovering from the COVID crisis and rebuilding our economy and our communities. Unfortunately, the incumbent is fighting too. He's fighting against us, and he's fighting against progress that's been made in Salem. He's a leader among those in the House who continually attempt to chip away at access to healthcare, action on the environment, justice for working families, and a woman's right to choose. Friends, we have a fresh campaign with a new kind of candidate backed by a strong leadership team. Our connections and our collaborations here give us deep roots, and our experience gives us credibility. We're committed to the hard work that's needed to win. And you can help us build on our successes. You can help turn up the volume on our message of equity, fairness, and hope. And together we can do this. So let's get to work. I can still take a few questions. If anybody has any, I can do that for sure. But we can also switch back to the House Majority Leader at this point. And I hear she's pretty great at getting folks to use their checkbooks to do the talking for them. So, but I will say, and as she talked about earlier, she's really one of the primary reasons I'm here today. And she can be pretty convincing. So when she's done, I'll ask you all to stick around for the closing credits. We'll play another song from Val, and we have what might be the best part of the program, which are the outtakes. So take it away, Majority Leader.
I love it. Outtakes. My my God, this is the most like professionally produced Zoom thing I think I have ever seen. Seriously, it is just amazing. So thank you again, Lynnette. Thank you for stepping up. I do know what a big deal it is and that leap, right? So my background, as I think Ken knows, thank you for pointing out Ken earlier. Thanks for that question, Ken. And thank you, Ken, for having you have walked this walk, and you know the challenges and the opportunities in this district, and you also know the way this district is continuing to change. A couple of things. First off, Lynnette's right. This is one of our key take back targets for this cycle, period. I'll be blunt. We are suffering from our good fortune, which is that we have 38 members, right? 38 out of 60, which is fantastic. It gave us a supermajority that has been doing incredible things in the legislature, even just in the 2019 session, right? We finally got dedicated funding for K-12 schools after almost 30 years of trying. We have done a whole raft of progressive legislation, not only in 2019, but in the 6 years that I've been there, whether it's paid family and medical leave, paid time off, banning the box on employment applications, increasing the minimum wage. And thank you to the to Cesar's, I can never remember that poor guy's name. All I can remember is Cesar, the No Drama Llama, his handler, who mentioned about the need for continuing to increase wages. One of the many things we fought off in the legislature as a Democratic supermajority is calls to stop or reduce the minimum wage increase. And I just can't imagine a worse thing to do with rising unemployment than to cut the wages of the folks who are working at the bottom of that scale. So that's the kind of structural things that the House Democratic Caucus believes in. And I want to say, Lynnette's right, and I'm hoping that everyone on this call, I want to call out and thank Paige Hook, another one of our candidates in House District 17, which, as she knows, is a much tougher district. And Paige is showing the difference it can make in engaging the community by having a good candidate who is willing to, who shows up, who interacts with the public, who holds folks accountable. And Lynnette, here's the deal. As I'm sure you hear, many of you have probably heard, oh, Ron Noble is not such a bad guy. I want to give him props for that, right? He made some good votes, particularly on police accountability in this short session. And I will not take that away from him. I think that's important. And yet he is a member of a caucus who consistently is promoting the kinds of things that Lynnette touched on, whether it's climate change denial by walking out of the legislature. That caucus, the biggest, it is not a small thing that he is a member of a caucus that doesn't believe in government, right? We are seeing what happens when people who don't believe in government take over the government. Look at the disaster at the federal level that it's having on our pandemic response. It is so important for us to maintain and even grow our supermajority, because that's what we're going to need to be able to raise resources in order to work our way through this. And we need somebody like Lynnette who is going to be there on all of those progressive issues, who is not going to have to fight their caucus, who is going to be in with that caucus, bringing a really important needed perspective, and sharing that across the caucus, across the House, and across the legislature as a whole. That, as she mentioned, unfortunately, it takes money. We're in this weird time where historically, what has been the greatest power of Democrats running for office is going door to door and talking to voters one-on-one. And we are unlikely to be able to do that perhaps at all this cycle. I'm already taking the breath and acknowledging that. So that means we're going to need to keep, are we going to look for other ways? Sure we are. We as a caucus, we give a lot of support, as Lynnette knows, structural support, help with staffing, and folks to help do your mail and your media, and just plain regular check-ins, right? We give you, here's how to do your schedule, here's voter lists for you to work on, all of that stuff. And we are still going to need to have money and raise money. And the way that Lynnette shows part of her credibility, I am sorry to say, is her ability to raise money from her friends and family. And that is a challenge even more than ever this time, because as you talked about, so many of the folks and the businesses that you're engaged in are suffering disproportionately through this because of the kind of businesses they are. So everybody on here, I want to ask you to do two things. I want to maybe three. First of all, I would ask that you click on that link and donate whatever you can. I have been pitching folks, I got to tell you, when a friend runs and just is in that different place, a really great way to think about it is to, what about a monthly donation, right? It's June. If you could commit, what do you spend $50 on in a month? Maybe, what's that, $12.50 a week, okay? Maybe 3 coffees, $50 a month between now and October, 5 months, that's $250. That is a significant contribution. But when you think about it as just $50 a month for the next 5 months, it feels so much more doable. And it is a way that you can really make a significant investment in Lynnette and to show that you believe in her and believe that the work that she is doing. So I'm here to tell you, I will commit to giving $50 a month personally, not for my PAC or anything, personally to Lynnette. And I would ask, I would love it if we could get at least 5 other people on this call who could commit to that. Now, I'm not going to be one of those pitchers. That's another thing about doing this over Zoom and in real time. I'm not going to, sometimes at an event, the best thing to do is just stop until you get those number of people. I'm not going to do that. But I would just like to say, if we can get 5 other people to commit to that, that would be fantastic. You click on the link, it lets you do that. And anything though, if you have $1, if you have $5, if you have whatever you have, trust me, it makes a difference because it demonstrates support for Lynnette. It shows the breadth of her engagement in the community, and it really ultimately will help us to help her run the best campaign she can and come and join the House Democratic Caucus next January in Salem. So with that, I'm just going to stop.
Thank you, Representative and House Majority Leader. I never know how to, everybody calls you BSW, so, you know, I mean, there's
That's what
RGB.
everybody calls me. I know, HML BSW, that's my new random assortment of letters that makes me laugh.
I really like that, HML BSW. Right? It actually took me a little while, but I live in the world of BOC, so I got it.
Exactly. Yeah, and can I just call out too, thank you, Hannah. Hannah from Future PAC, who made some excellent points in the comment about when I was talking and giving Ron his props on his police accountability work. Great important thing about not just does he have in a caucus that does not do great things, but he personally, he voted against the Student Success Act, even though he knows how desperately our schools need funding. He voted against important environmental stuff, and again, he walked out, period.
Right, thank you very much, HMLBSW. I think we're all really honored to have you join Lynnette for this call, this launch party. And I just want to note, that I believe somebody said, described Lynnette Shaw as a badass. And since I don't swear, I'm not gonna say badass. Instead, I'm gonna say incredibly strong and incredibly courageous. And I'm actually a political neophyte, right? Like a year and a half doesn't make me anything experienced, but I know how courageous, how much courage it takes. And Amy Wilder also knows to just stand up for the things you believe. It's hard. BSW knows. And I know that I actually am not as courageous as I thought I was, but I do know that Lynnette Shaw is somebody that I look up to for that badassness, if I said badass. So I really want to thank you. Lynnette, before we thank everybody and remind them to tip their server, do you have anything you would, do you want to take any more questions?
If anybody's got them, if anybody's got questions, I'll be happy to take them.
All right, Paige Hook, candidate from House District 17, raised her hand.
Hey, I was just hoping that we could get a link thrown up there to volunteer, if you guys have a volunteer site, or how can we get involved so that we can help grow your reach and get you elected, because I'd really like to see you in that seat.
Thank you. Likewise, Paige. We'll put our email, our info at email, and that will come to me, and my team and I can put together our volunteer folks, and we'll reach out to them individually.
Awesome. And I just wanted to encourage everyone to make sure that if you haven't liked Lynnette's Facebook page, make sure that you go there, and any other social media that she has. It's really important to have those likes, especially with some of the younger demographic that's out there. We're big on going last minute sometimes to Facebook pages and going, well, who is everyone else supporting? So let's make sure we get lots of likes for Lynnette, and I'm gonna plug myself too and just go to my page too.
Do it. Go to Paige's, like her page too. Paige's page. Give it a like.
All right. Anybody else before we allow Lynnette to sign off? Craig Markham.
Hi, Casey and Lynnette. When I met Lynnette earlier this year, I had the feeling that she was a force of nature, and everything that I've seen of her since then has confirmed that feeling. And I think that she would be a terrific, not only would she be present in the legislature, unlike the AWOL contingent on the Republican side, but she would be a presence. And I think that a presence with the kinds of values that she shares with us is as good as gold.
Thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate that. I would like to make one additional last note, and that is there's value in having a rural person be a part of the Democratic caucus because you have a lot of the Democratic caucus from more urban areas, and to have rural representation, I think, would be a really big deal.
I fully agree. Any last thoughts? One thing I like to do is have everybody clap before you sign off. Everybody ready? Vote Lynnette Shaw and
Yay! Bravo. Stick around, everyone. Stick around for the closing credits and the outtakes. Thank you, everyone.
Morrison and my partner, husband Mauro, and I own
Start over.
I cannot thrive, I barely survive. Under the cloud is where I live.
State Senate race.
Yes.
House.
In the rain is where we sleep. Huddle close like docile sheep.
Hi, I'm Lynnette Shaw, and a Democratic candidate for this. We'll take that over again.
We wait for trees. In the rain is where we sleep. Till we refuse to sell out so cheap.
Morrison and my partner.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Till we make it right. But in the dark is where we fight. While we learn wrong from right. In the dark we burn from the fight. We rage and howl, scream and bite. We have to win, we can't be polite. In the dark is where we fight. Until we choose to bear the light. 'Cause this isn't our country. This can't be our life. Well, this is our country.
What is the deal? Ow! That was my thumb. That was my thumb.
This can't be our life. Well, this is our country. We gotta make it right. 'Cause in the sun
accessible, which we also need in our leaders.
Thanks. Mauro really did.